Drama around this time of the basketball season is always fun because it includes playoff basketball, usually award races as well, and teams failing and then leading to trades. We're going to the Lakers may be up and getting a major piece back in Austin Reaves as he's prepared to make his return. And there could be some big chaos happening in Detroit as they're urged to maybe trade for Kevin Durant. But I'm going to flip that and ask, will they make a trade to add something major to their roster? And then Cooper Flagg, one rookie of the year, but shitty. We're going to talk about all that plus more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go to get into this content for today, y'all. So the Lakers have a commanding 3-1 lead in their series, and the Houston Rockets have been a huge disappointment so far this season. And, of course, it started off with injuries and things like that for the Houston Rockets. But for the Lakers coming into this series and into the playoffs without Luka and without Austin Reaves and against the Houston Rockets and what they've been able to do defensively, just not many people gave the Lakers chances without those two players. And while the Rockets did win last game, shout out to them on that one, it could be getting even worse for them as Austin Reaves is prepared to make his return back to the basketball court and coming back potentially in Game 5 for the Los Angeles Lakers as he's working to make his return back to the court. And, what does this mean? Not only just for the Houston Rockets, but for the, future of that team in their playoff series. Like LeBron and the role players in the Lakers have done an admirable job. Now, is it going to be tougher for them as it goes on against teams not named the Houston Rockets is a big question there. But getting Austin Reaves back, we'll see what happens with Luka. He can maybe come back, I think, in round 2, I think is the last thing that I read. But getting Austin Reaves back, I think it does a lot for them, like overall just in their playoffs, right? The Lakers did held them out of Game 4, it's for a little cushion with that 3-0 lead, reportedly that because they had that cushion with that lead, that's why they hung them out. But at this point now, Austin Reaves is on return watch, and this Los Angeles Lakers team is gunning for it, and as they should, right? It was reported that he was close to returning in Game 4. They had that cushion, so they allowed him to progress a little bit more, and that's what I wanted to see the Spurs do with Wemby. And now the Lakers are getting ready to get one of their offensive weapons back. And the question now becomes about, do they go ahead and close out the Houston Rockets on Wednesday, or can the Rockets find another way to extend that series? And could Kevin Durant possibly come back if they continue to extend it? We'll see, right? I don't think this, right? The Lakers don't need to win Game 5. And I don't want to be clear there. They don't need to just win Game 5. Ideally, you would like to go ahead and win, lock it in, move on, get some rest, get a chance to get even more healthy before you start your round 2 series, but look sharp in doing it. And if you get Austin Reaves back and you look sharp on top of that, you're riding some momentum into that next playoff series for them, and that's really kind of what you want if that ends up being the case. So, the Lakers, who had the draw here, of the Rockets, they will be facing off against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who did win their game in their game. So they'll be facing off against the Lakers in round 2 of the playoffs, and the Lakers are going to need all hands on deck if they're going to have a chance to get back into this. So the question now is, are the Rockets out of answers? Right, they're down 3-1. Kevin Durant has been dealing with injuries the entirety of the season. The Houston Rockets offense has been stagnant, no shot creation. They've lost their composure in a lot of these games as well. And so if Austin Reaves does return, you got to look at the Houston Rockets defensive assignments are just going to get that much tougher. And so the question now is Houston, are they losing because they're hurt or because the Lakers just have them figured out? That's the question that's going to have to be here. And J.J. Redick has coached a hell of a series as well. Now, one thing that we did see with the Houston Rockets is that their young guys really did bind together in that last game. No Kevin Durant. Alfred Şengün reportedly had a message in that locker room before the game that really got everybody fired up. They rolled that into the game, and they played a really good Game 4. Now, the question is how much can they replicate in Game 5, even with the defensive assignments potentially getting tougher with the Austin Reaves return? Listen, if you're the Houston Rockets, you're playing with house money. And that's what I always say about teams that are faced being down 3-1, 3-0 situations. You are playing with house money. You go out there, you play, you have fun, you put it all out on the court. If you lose, you lose, right? Those questions and what things that are going to happen in the offseason are going to happen is going to present itself. And I do think some pretty tough questions are going to be asked in Houston after the season on what to do with their roster construction, what it means for all that. But, Houston just continue to dig in and play hard and play tough. And, the Rockets are still a very young team. And I think it's easy to forget that with what they've done the last couple of seasons as far as when really kind of stepping up and stepping out, right? The trade for Kevin Durant, having Fred VanVleet still on their roster, but most of their core is still filled with very young players. Now, the question that I think that the Houston Rockets are going to have to ask themselves is, are they ready to cash in any of that youth and accelerate this by going after another veteran piece, maybe another star, whatever it is? That's a question that they're going to have to answer. And I'll turn it over to any Rockets fans that could be watching this video. What would you like to see done with the Rockets, roster this offseason? Do you want to see them go more into the youth, right? And just allow Kevin Durant to be there and trust that these young guys are going to develop as well as with the return of Fred VanVleet? Do you want to see that done? Or do you want to see them maybe trade a Jabari Smith? I think that, Amen Thompson should be off limits in my personal opinion. We've heard that the Rockets could be interested in moving Alperen Sengun if they do end up, failing in the first round here. So we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition, or do something maybe even crazier. And do you flip Kevin Durant? Do you consider flipping Kevin Durant? Let me know what you guys think on that, because it does seem like the Houston Rockets ran up against a wall this season. We'll see what they can do next season. Let me know what you guys think on that one down below. With that said, the Pistons are absolutely in trouble, right? Down 3-1 to Orlando, and the Pistons offense has been downright ugly, right? It's been downright ugly. And I think one thing that you see with this Pistons team is that they can use another shot creator, right? They can use another on-ball creator outside of Cade Cunningham. And, for what it's worth, that is kind of the original intention of Jaden Ivey before they traded him, because he couldn't stay healthy, is that he was one of those players that could get a bucket outside kind of the framework of the offense. That was last season. He hasn't been that since his injury. So I do think that Detroit is going to have to find, another guy to do that for them. And so this is going to be a defining offseason for the Detroit Pistons, whatever happens. So now, some may happen. I do Locked On NBA daily over on the Locked On Podcast Network. My co-host Matt Moore over there actually has some confidence that the Pistons can come back and win this series. I'm not going to count them out. They are such a good, team as far as defensively and offensively during the regular season, but that just has not been here during this playoff run for them really at all. Jalen Duren has not given them the necessarily presence inside that they need. And with the, what the Magic are doing as far as slipping, instead of switching, they're kind of slipping that a little bit, and it's causing them some big issues right now. So I think when you have to do it, this is a team that was the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. And while I do believe in this roster, I always thought that this was going to be a bit of a tough playoff run for them. This is the first year they've ever been thrust into this role. They don't have the experience, and it's not a knock on them and what could be in their future. It's just simply put, like, young teams usually do struggle like this. Now, where the Pistons have struggled, the Spurs have not, right? So, it's kind of the if and a but about it, but it's clear that the Pistons need another on-ball creator. Well, that's where Jeff Teague presented an interesting argument here, right? And a solution for Detroit, he said that Detroit should go out and get Kevin Durant. Now, the thing is, would Houston even be open to moving Kevin Durant? Like, just got him this past offseason. They've had one season with him, and I don't legitimately see the Rockets wanting to trade him, especially to the Detroit Pistons, because what the Pistons have to offer. I mean, they have young players that they can offer, but, the whole point of the Houston Rockets trading for Kevin Durant is to get a star now. That's kind of what Ime Udoka wanted, right? So it's a bigger question here than Kevin Durant. But do they need to make a trade for a legitimate star, whether it's cashing in on some of their draft picks, cashing in on some of the young players, to then add something? Like, this is going to be a defining offseason for the Detroit Pistons, because you can keep doubling down on your youth, and you could wait on that youth, and that's perfectly fine. But at some point, you have to cash in on some of that. So whether it is moving off of Isaiah Stewart, who's 25 years old, whether it is, I doubt they move Arthur Thompson. I doubt with that one. But this is a team that is going to have tremendous cap space potentially this season. They can have $72 million beneath the first tax apron. Now, not all of that is actual cap space, so they can't use all of that to just outwardly sign free agents, but it does give them some flexibility, to go out there and maybe be aggressive. Maybe you put a big offer sheet out on a Peyton Watson or, a Ben Mathurin or somebody like that. Like, I don't know. But I do think that the Pistons have to look at this and ask themselves, is the answer to where they're struggling on their roster, or is the answer something that they're going to have to go out there and use some assets, cash in some things to go out there and get? Now, we know that they do have potentially 2 first-round picks in this draft. They can swap picks with the Minnesota Timberwolves, I believe, right, which I don't think is going to happen there. But they also have all their own first-round picks. And so because they have all their first, out to 2033. They do have draft assets that they can use to try to bring in some talent here now to Detroit. And that's going to have to be the question that we're going to have to answer for the Detroit Pistons. I do think that they need to go out and get something. I don't know if it has to be a star per se, but I do think a player that can create on themselves. And then when Cade has to sit down, the on-off things, you can stagger their minutes. I do think that that's going to help them be having more sustainable offense as they go forward into the future. And that's really what, if I'm the guy running the Detroit Pistons, that's really what I would want it to build around. And we'll see if they end up doing that. They could not. The Detroit Pistons could just run it back and figure that they're the number one team in the East and they've learned from this playoff experience and they'll figure that the hell out. That could definitely be a possibility there. But we'll see what's going to happen. The Pistons are still a dangerous team. And I want to be clear here, right? But they now, what you learn from your first playoff run is the things that you need to do to get over that next hump. And that next hump for the Detroit Pistons could be finding a way to win a playoff series. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Last topic before we get out of here, though. Cooper Flagg won Rookie of the Year over Cade Cunningham. And you guys will know I have been somebody that has been very boisterous in saying that I think that Khan should have been Rookie of the Year. Did so for a winning team. The on-off numbers are really good. The shooting splits, we saw him shoot in a place where you just don't see rookies shoot. The poise, all that type of stuff. He had a historic shooting season with 273 threes made. But you also can't deny the impact that Cooper Flagg had. The 40-point games, the big, 21 points, 6.7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.2 steals. Those are stat lines we've only seen the greats have as rookies when it comes down to it, right? So I want to see with this one, right? The question that I have to this is that, A, do you feel that the NBA got this right? Because I still think Cade Cunningham should have been Rookie of the Year. But I would even say this. It's not like Cooper Flagg was the wrong choice. It's not like you gave it to Cooper Flagg and he didn't have the performances. He didn't have the big nights. He didn't have the development that you look at and didn't say that this is one of the best rookie seasons that we've seen. I just personally think that, I weigh winning a little bit more than that. And Cade Cunningham has been so important to a winning team with the Charlotte Hornets and what they were able to do this year. He was so important to that. Now, of course, their season fell short. They didn't make it to the actual playoffs, and that's a thing that's really disappointing for them. You would have like to see them be able to do that. But, I think that Cade Cunningham, this would have been a year to me where it would have made sense to have, co-rookie of the years. I think it really would have made a lot of sense that it hasn't happened a lot in NBA history, but I do think it would have made sense. One in the East, one in the West. I think that would have been there and made sense. But I will say this. Cooper Flagg is well on his way and looking like a player that could very well become the face of the league. And, say for that what you will. I know there are going to be some people that react and say, of course, the NBA wants a white face of the league. You guys know I don't get into all that when it comes down to it. Players are players to me. It doesn't matter their race, creed, or anything else. It just matters what they do on that basketball court. And Cooper Flagg had himself an amazing season. And you can't take away from that. And it crowned in Rookie of the Year. And for what it's worth, he was really humble in getting to that point as well. The quote that he had after winning Rookie of the Year saying, "This is truly a great honor. I'm grateful to receive this award and thankful to everyone in the Dallas Mavericks organization who believed in me from day one. None of this happens without my teammates, coaches, and the people around me pushing me every day. I came here to compete and to help this team win. This is just one step forward in what we're building." And that's really what this becomes about this offseason. Reportedly, the Mavericks are looking at, to bring in some new front office guys in here, and we can see what that ends up being. Could also come with a new coach, as Jason Kidd wants power in the front office as well. And it's really about now you've drafted Cooper Flagg. You moved on from Luka. You got the number one overall pick. You drafted Cooper Flagg. And Coop, for what it's worth, lived up to every bit of the expectation that you have for him. But you have some questions on this roster. What do you do with Kyrie Irving? You already shipped out Anthony Davis. What do you do with Kyrie? Finding the guard to pair with Cooper Flagg in this year's draft with your first-round pick is hugely important as well. The Dallas Mavericks, the work just really begins because now you got a player that has proven the proof of concept and what he can be, and he's only going to continue growing. Now, how you facilitate that growth, add to that growth, and make it easier on him with how you build your team, that's the next step for this Dallas Mavericks team, and we'll see what they're going to do with it. But, again, let me know what you guys feel on that one down below. That's going to do it. Austin Reaves coming back. The Pistons may be staring at a brutal playoff collapse and big questions in the offseason. And with Kevin Durant's name already coming up in trade talk, what does that mean for him? We'll end up seeing, right? Let me ask you this. Do you think Detroit needs to make a ploy for another big-time on-ball scorer and on-ball creator? Or do you think they can just run it back and hope for growth? What do you see with that one? And did the voters get it right with Rookie of the Year? Let me know what you guys think on that one down below. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball and NBA related. And I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making an episode. Probably tomorrow, but we shall see how things go. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Break Media.